All right, we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. Happy National AI Literacy Day. My name is Laura McHugh. I'm with the EdSafe AI Alliance, one of the steering committee members alongside Common Sense Media, AI EDU, and the Tech Interactive. Please share where you're joining. Please share where you're joining us from in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. As part of today's celebration, we're presenting a synchronous professional development series on AI literacy. This is our last Synchronous PD session of the day, but there are a bunch of free curriculum resources in Async PD for educators on our website. Visit ailiteracyday.org for more. These synchronous sessions will give you the chance to deep dive into the future of technology alongside leading experts. If you weren't able to make our earlier sessions, don't worry, we'll have the recordings online shortly. Okay, our expert for today's session is Micah Kennedy, Professional Learning Manager at code.org. They will be discussing generative AI, what students should know about it, and how to teach it to them. If you have questions, please add them into the chat and we will address them at the end of the presentation. So welcome, Micah, and thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to have you here today, and I will turn it over to you.
Hi, thanks everyone. I'm going to drop a link to the slide deck in the chat. I'll probably share that again later on in the show, in the presentation. And I will set up screen sharing real quick while I introduce myself. I'm Micah Kennedy. I work at code.org, where I'm a professional learning manager. What that means is that I work on developing professional learning for our teachers. Mostly that has been focused around the AI space in the last couple of years, since AI has kind of become a hot topic in education. I've worked on some of our AI curriculum as well as professional learning opportunities for teachers, a lot of which I'll be sharing today. I just want to start off by saying in this chat, in this talk, I'm going to be sharing a lot of resources. It's going to be pretty resource heavy, and I know we're not going to have time to dive into everything, but you'll get tons of links and things like that. So definitely save that slide deck so you have access to all of that later. And everything I'm sharing today is totally free. Code.org is really clear about teachers and students not paying for any of their curriculum or professional development. So all of this is free and available for schools and for teachers. So anything you have access to today, you're going to have access to for as long as code.org is around. Now I'll start off with some session goals. We're going to talk a lot about Gen AI today. We're going to talk a little bit about what Gen AI is, and Gen AI is just short for generative AI. Use that a lot, acronym a lot in today's talk. We're going to talk about how it works. We're going to connect generative AI to AI literacy and talk a little bit about AI literacy. We're going to explore some classroom strategies, and we're going to do that mostly by discovering and working through some free code.org resources that you can take back to your classrooms and schools. Quick poll. We're going to have a lot of polls in this chat just to keep it a little interactive. Our first one is drop an emoji in the chat that best represents how you feel about teaching or learning about Gen AI. Got a couple options here, but feel free to pick whatever emoji fits your topic or your feelings best. And I'll just give you a second to drop some of those in the chat. Personally, I'm ready to explore, ready to learn something from you all and to share what I've been doing as well. Look like we've got some other people who are just kind of ready to dive in. Give you another second to share. Looks like most people are ready to dive in. Some people are a little curious, a little unsure. That's totally fair. Wherever you're coming at is great. So let's start with some definitions. First definition is generative AI. So this is a type of artificial intelligence that can create new content. So anything that's creating something new, it's generating something, we put that under the bucket of generative AI. That is a subset of AI in general. So AI is just a technology that mimics human intelligence, performing tasks such as understanding language, recognizing patterns, and making decisions. So there's a lot of AI out there that does not fall under that umbrella of generative AI. This type of AI, like AI has been around for decades now. AI has been doing things like helping planes land and making Netflix recommendations and all of those things for a really long time. However, the type of AI that's gotten the most news space recently is generative AI, mostly through ChatGPT's new models coming out with better and better generative AI text that more closely mimics human language. So a lot of what you hear about AI nowadays, it's in the news, a lot of that is generative AI, but there's a lot of other things that fall under the AI umbrella. And generative AI runs through large language models. So a large language model is a computer program that analyzes large amounts of human created content to the point where it can represent and recreate new data to perform a variety of tasks. So most generative AI runs off of these large language models of some sort. Now we're going to look a little bit about how Gen AI works by diving into a little bit of how large language models work. So I'm going to try to play this video. I might need to address some of my sound settings. So just give me like a thumbs down or a no sound notice in the chat if you can't hear anything. Thanks for the feedback there. I'm gonna mess with my sound settings and try again.
Hey, I'm Yuri Morati. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT. I really wanted to work on AI because it has the potential to really improve almost every aspect of life and help us tackle really hard challenges.
Hi, I'm Cristóbal Valenzuela, CEO and co-founder of Runway. Runway is a research company that builds AI algorithms for storytelling and video creation.
Chatbots like ChatGPT are based on a new type of AI technology that's called large language models. So instead of a typical neural network, which trains on a specific task, like how to recognize faces or images, a large language model is trained on the largest amount of information possible.
It uses this training to then be able to generate completely new information, like to write essays or poems, have conversations, or even write code. The possibilities seem endless.
This technology is already being used to create apps and websites, help produce movies and video games, and even discover new drugs. The rapid acceleration of AI will have enormous impacts on society, and it's important for everybody to understand this technology. What I'm looking forward to is the amazing things people will create with AI. And I hope you dive in to learn more about how AI works and explore what you can build with it.
So that was just a piece of a video series that code.org has around how AI works. I'll share some of those links later so you can find the full video series. The full kind of explanation of how large language models work is about 10 minutes long, so a little too long to share during this chat, but it's a great starting place if you're curious about what's going on behind the hood a little bit there. We're not going to watch that again. Great. So we're going to do a little bit of a waterfall activity. So if you haven't done this before through Zoom, I'll explain it real quick. So you're going to prepare your answer in the chat, but you're not going to send it yet. I'll give everybody a minute or two to write their answer, and then we'll have everybody send their answer at the same time. That way, everybody gets some quiet reflection and thinking time, and then everybody gets a chance to kind of read through everybody's responses. So foreshadowed this a little bit in the last video, but list one or more application of generative AI technology. So you can be talking about like maybe a generative AI tool that you might have used, or even if you're not quite sure if it's generative AI or if it's AI in general, throw it in there. We can talk about it. Or like an application, so an area where generative AI technology is being applied and making a difference somewhere. So I'll give everybody like a minute to write their response, but don't press enter yet. It's okay if you do, but we're going to try to get everybody to press enter at the same time. So think that was enough thinking time. So if you're not done, it's okay. You can add it later, but we'll have everybody try to send in 3, 2, 1, go. Ah, sweet, it worked. Great. Appreciate the participation. So yeah, thought partner, resume formatting, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Sora, Suno, writing fiction. Yeah, a lot of mistakes in there. Definitely a thing to keep in mind with Gen AI. It doesn't always do a great job. These are so good uses of AI and generative AI in particular. So you all were getting at some of this, but generative AI there's a bunch of generative AI tools. Some of these are probably familiar with you. Some of them maybe not. Some of these aren't familiar with me either. But we have a lot of language generative tools like ChatGPT or Google Bard. We have some code specific tools. So tools that are better at generating code like GitHub Copilot or Alpha Code. We also have image generators like DALL-E. I think ChatGPT does a pretty good job with images now. It's getting better. I heard it had a big update recently. So we'll see how those images are doing. And then there's a ton of others. There's generative AI that makes diagrams and posters and kind of anything, and music and videos. So there's generative AI that's being developed for a bunch of different spaces. This is having a huge impact on a bunch of different job sectors. So healthcare, generative AI could be used for medical images synthesis and diagnosis, drug discovery, personal medical treatment plans, used in finance and trade for algorithm trading strategies, market analysis, used in content creation, which is typically, I think, where we see generative AI being used the most right now, art music generation, visual assistants and chatbots and such. It's also being used for content creation for natural language processing, sentiment analysis, transcripts, things like that. So generative AI is being used in a lot of different areas. And that kind of gets us to our next point on AI literacy. So AI literacy is the ability to understand, evaluate, and interact with AI systems. And it helps students and teachers and everybody not just be consumers, but creators and valuable thought partners with the technology that they're using. Think about encouraging critical thinking, ethical awareness, and digital citizenship. So we want to make sure our students are not just using all of these cool Gen AI tools. We want them to be thinking about them critically. We want them to evaluate when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate to use Gen AI. We want them to think critically about the output to help them catch things like AI fictions and things like that are coming out of these, catch things like bias that are coming out of the results of these Gen AI tools. And we want them to potentially be creators of the next wave of AI tools so that they're better, that they meet human needs better, that they're more ethical, and that they're working for us and not kind of against us in society. So that's what being AI literate is all about. And it's important for students to learn how generative AI works. It helps them understand the technology, fostering critical thinking, its capabilities, and its limitations. And as we know, many students have already used AI tools in various aspects. They're integrated into a lot of search engines now, voice assistants, but we also know that they're using Gen AI tools such as ChatGPT to help with schoolwork. So this is just a fun, quick poll question. So take a guess, what percentage of teens in US say they've used a Gen AI tool such as ChatGPT to help with homework? So go ahead and throw your guess in the chat. This is based on 2024 data, and I linked the source in the chat, in the notes of the slide deck. So if you want to check my source, it's there. So give people a second to guess. Got a couple of C's, we got a D in there. Actually, I was a little surprised by this. The answer is B, 26%. So that seemed kind of low to me. So it's surprising on two levels from an AI literacy perspective. So one note here is that according to this poll, this number has doubled since 2023. So we've had twice as many students using this tool. So now we have 26% up from 13%. So it is gaining popularity and gaining popularity quite quickly. But we also know so that a lot of students are using this tool and need to learn how to use it properly. But that also shows that a lot of students aren't using this tool, these tools in general, and maybe could benefit from using them. Maybe they learn more about ChatGPT and Gen AI. They could help use it in a thoughtful, helpful way and not just kind of as an answer generator, which is what we kind of want to avoid here. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to reflect on when you're thinking about your own curriculum and your teaching practice and thinking about kind of where Gen AI falls along the AI literacy scope. I'm going to talk now about some curriculum highlights for Gen AI. So all of this, like I said before, all this is free and available at code.org. I'm going to talk a lot about kind of all of our AI curriculum. I won't touch on all of it because there's too much. And then we'll dive into some of our specific Gen AI focused curriculum. So we have a wide range of curriculum at code.org that's AI based. We have everything from like for grades like 3 to 5. We have 1 hour activities. We have longer activities for some of our upper grades. So we have like our computer vision modules, 5 hours of content. AI for Oceans is 1 hour. We have some coding with AI, some 45-minute lessons. We have a lesson on AI and ethics. We have Dance Party, AI Edition, which is good for all grades. It's an hour long. It's one of our coolest hour of code activities. We have Generative AI for Humanities, which you can dive into later on if you so desire. I have some like exploration time here. So basically we have a wide range and breadth of activities and lessons and curriculum that you can explore on the code.org website. And one of the ones that I'm going to talk about today is one of our newer launches, which is called Exploring Gen AI or Exploring Generative AI. This is a 2-unit curriculum. It's for grades 6 through 12. I think it's probably best for like 7 to 12, maybe 7 to 11, depending on how much coding experience your students have in upper grades. It has 2 units. The first one is Foundations of Generative AI, and then the second one is Customizing Large Language Models. I'll just dive into a little bit of each of these units and give you a little preview. And you'll have some more time to like explore as you wish as well. So unit 1 is Foundations of Gen AI. This unit is going to aim to build a foundational understanding of text-based Gen AI models, focusing on core concepts over technical skills. So both of these units have no coding in them, no traditional coding. However, students are exploring and building those AI literacy skills specifically in relation to Gen AI and chatbots. So in this first unit, the students will demystify generative AI models by exploring their internal structures through a lens of kind of input, storage, process, and output, which is kind of how we've broken up how Gen AI works. One of the huge highlights of this is our Generative AI video series. So these are 5 short videos that are introduced through different lessons in the series. We're going to play the first one, or not the first one of them here, just so you get a preview of what these videos look like, and so that you can learn a little bit about processing and neural networks.
Hi, I'm Kajori, and I am a software development engineer here at Amazon. I work with Amazon Music, and I work on helping users get music cues that they would like the best based on their past music listening history. So far, we've looked at the input and storage stages of how a language model works. At this point, the input has been broken into smaller pieces, and each piece is represented with a list of numbers called an embedding. So embeddings help our chatbot come up with new words, but that's just part of the picture. These models don't generate sentences by just throwing similar words together like random guesses in Pictionary. Sentences need structure. They need nouns, verbs, and adjectives all in the perfect order. That's how you go from a bunch of words to a sentence that actually makes sense. This all starts in pre-training, where the model sifts through tons of examples and begins to recognize patterns in language like grammatical structure, artistic style, or conversational norms. These patterns are encoded as neural networks. You can think of a neural network like a complicated relay race. It begins with a set of input nodes, then the race starts and passes through a bunch of hidden layers, and finally reaches a finish line where the output is. It's called a neural network because the chain reaction mimics the neurons in our brain, like when we see or hear something. Along the way, neural networks use weights as a way to make some connections stronger than others. For example, let's say you're talking to a friend in a restaurant and there's music playing in the background. Your brain can hear both, but it's learned to prioritize your friend over the music. You might even forget there's music playing at all. Neural networks accomplish something similar by using weights to represent which connections should be prioritized. This is the processing aspect of a language learning model. These neural networks represent the relationship between words, and they use weights and hidden layers to process information. When we feed it embeddings, their neural networks spring into action, processing these connections to make sense of the sentence. My hope for generative AI in the future is that it just continues progressing and continues, again, just making our lives easier. At least with my job, I hope it, continues helping customers listen to music they've never heard before, that we know for sure that they would like, and hopefully getting some artists, some new fans through generative AI.
Is one of the videos that we share throughout this unit. And then in this lesson, students go on to learn more about neural networks and do an unplugged activity with neural networks. This first unit, Foundations of Gen AI, is really unplugged, and it has a lot of students learning these concepts and understanding how Gen AI works in ways and spaces that make sense to them so that they can kind of go back and translate it to kind of how computers do things. And then that is followed by unit 2. So these units can be taught either in a sequence. You can do unit 1 and unit 2, or you can just do unit 1. Or if you really wanted to, you can just do unit 2. If you just do unit 2, there's kind of like a 1-day bridge lesson that we recommend so that students kind of have an understanding of what happened in unit 1. But if you really wanted to kind of just focus on customizing large language models, or if your students already have some background of how generative AI works, you can just kind of dive into unit 2. In Unit 2, this focuses on practical skills for tailoring AI models using techniques like prompt engineering and retrieval. So students in Unit 2 explore how to customize AI chatbots to fit specific use cases. Then they create their own chatbot to address a problem they care about. And that's kind of the final project of this unit, where students spend multiple days designing, building a chatbot to address an issue that they notice in their community. So I'm going to spend a second here. I'm just going to show you our AI chatbot and talk a little bit about the chatbot we developed here. If you're in the slide deck, you can try it out on your own, but we'll have a moment to take a look at that after this little demo. You'll have some time to explore on your own. So the first thing you'll notice is when you go into the chatbot, this message always shows up. So this is just our reminder to chat responsibly. All messages that students send will be visible to their teacher, including blocked messages that got flagged for inappropriate content. So inappropriate messages will be flagged by their content moderation policy. All unsaved changes will be lost. So like you can't kind of go back. You have to save it, and if you want to come back, go back and forth. And in order to protect your privacy, we recommend you do not share anything personal, name, phone number, address into the chatbot. All of this is just saved on the code.org system, so none of this is like shared more broadly. If a student does share their personal information, it kind of goes to like our personal team, and nobody's going to do anything with that, but that is just a good reminder for students when using chatbots in general to be mindful of what they're sharing in the space. So one of the benefits of using our integrated kind of chatbot here is kind of multifold, but one is that we do really strict content moderation, and teachers can actually go in and flag other chats that might not have been flagged. So if you're like reviewing students' chats, you can say like, oh, this one should have been flagged to help support our system in the background, help train our AI. Also, students know that their data isn't going to be shared more broadly in case they do share something. And then the other benefit of kind of using our like internal chatbot here is that students get to do cool things like change the system prompt here. So this is one example of a level I'm not going to actually change much on the system prompt. I just want to show you kind of what the what the chatbot kind of looks like. So this one here has a system prompt already written that students will explore and then change. This is about helping people understand how to drive in Arizona. Um, the system prompt tells the AI kind of how to act, being warm and friendly, use metaphors or analogies, and it's not going to answer any questions not related to the topic. So I'm going to say, hello, what is there to know about driving in Arizona? And it's just going to act like any other chat bot, like ChatGPT, gives an answer about navigating the desert, staying hydrated. And I'm going to ask it, what is the weather in Mass tomorrow? So I'm going to try to see if it's going to tell me something that's not on topic. And it's not going to tell me no. It's going to say no, it cannot provide this information for locations outside of Arizona. So it's staying on topic here. And in this lesson, students would change the system prompt and they learn about the different parts of the system prompt and kind of what all they do. And that's just an example of kind of one of the things that they're going to be working on through customizing large language models and one of the aspects of the system that they're going to be able to change. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to explore just because I've shared a lot of resources and I'm about to share a bunch more. So if you go to this slide here, you can click on these images to go to kind of an example page for each of these curriculum. And I'll also throw those links in the chat so you can go to them directly. I'm going to keep talking for a couple of minutes, but please start exploring. I'll just keep talking about what you'll find in these levels. So if you're in elementary or middle school, mostly elementary school, AI for Oceans is going to be your best, like most applicable lesson here to explore. It's not Gen AI specific. I don't think we have any elementary school topic content yet that's specific to Gen AI, but it is a great introduction to AI. And this link, by clicking on the image or the link I shared in the chat, just goes to our AI for Oceans activity. Highly recommend checking that out. It's one of my favorite activities that code.org has ever put out. Just saying a lot. And then if you go to Unit 1, you're going to be taken to actually our professional learning for this unit, which I'll talk about later. And it's just kind of helping you kind of learn a little bit more about neural networks. And it walks you through kind of trying out this activity on your own. So this gives you an opportunity to see kind of one of the activities that students will be doing in the Foundations of Gen AI unit. If you want to try out our chatbot, I recommend going to Unit 2, Customizing Large Language Models. So this opens up a chatbot level where you're changing something called temperature. And here you're kind of exploring what does temperature do. So you're going to chat with this bot that has talking about movies or books you like, and you're going to change the temperature and see how that changes how the chatbot responds. We're going to do this for maybe 5 minutes, maybe seven. Let's go with like 7 minutes. I'll give you like a 1 minute warning. Go ahead and explore on your own. Check out these different things or anything else that you want to check out at this moment. And if you need a free code.org account, so if you're getting blocked by any of these links, you can click this link here to kind of set up your code.org account real quick. Shouldn't take you very long to do that if you need to do that. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But we'll have a couple of minutes of some kind of silent work time. We're going to take one more minute in exploring these. All right. While you wrap up, one more poll. Actually, I think there's one more after this, but another poll for you to think about. Go ahead and drop this in the chat. 3 words describe your experience: good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you want to share there. Give you a minute to wrap up what you were doing as well as to share. Give you one more second to share. And I have a bunch more resources to talk about. All right, great. So I want to talk about a couple more things that code.org has in the AI and the Gen AI space. So one new course that we're releasing for next school year is called Computer Science and AI Foundations. This is for high school students, grade 9 through 12 of any experience level. It requires no prior coding experience, no prior computer science knowledge. There's a semester long or a half year version, each semester containing 6 3-week units for a total of 18 weeks. And the full year option has kind of a semester focus primarily on programming in the second semester, whereas the first semester covers a lot more diverse spread of topics, including data science, Python programming, a little bit of that in the first semester, computer systems, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, network and the internet are kind of all covered in this foundational course. So this is really designed to introduce students to the core principles and real-world applications of computer science. It's an emphasis on learners with essential skills. It's an emphasis on literacy skills around computer science, providing a comprehensive understanding of our dynamic digital world. So this is kind of a semester 1 or year 1 computer science course, really designed and built for everyone. And it has some really cool AI threads kind of built all throughout the course. Our chatbot makes an appearance in multiple different places for students to use, both as kind of like a way to learn about generative AI and AI in general, as well as a way to learn about other computer science topics. Along with all of our curriculum, we provide high quality professional learning. We do provide self-paced online professional learning that's available for many, if not all of our AI curriculum. It's offered for our generative AI curriculum, both units, as well as all of computer science and AI foundations. Once that's released in a couple of months, it's all flexible, convenient, personalized learning experience, high quality content there. So even if you're not feeling ready to teach something just yet, but you're curious about learning a new content area like Gen AI or computer visions, you can go through the professional learning, and then that will help prepare you to teach the course. And all of this and more, I know I shared a ton, is at code.org/AI. You'll find links to our videos, professional learnings, all our curriculum there. It's just a really good spot, landing page for all of our AI. One last poll, and then I've got a couple more resources to share. How confident are you in your understanding of AI? Very confident, somewhat confident, new to this, or maybe something else entirely? Personally, I am. It depends on the day. Depends on how much new stuff has happened in AI recently. That will change how confident I'm feeling. If you're feeling kind of somewhat confident, new to this, maybe very new to this, so much to learn, definitely agree with that. We do have AI 101, self-paced professional learning. So this is a little bit of a different product for code.org, as it's not tied to any specific curriculum. It is a self-paced professional learning just for anyone in education. It's good for teachers, it's good for admin, it's good for technology experts, so on. It's a free foundational online course for anyone interested in AI and its potential in education. There's 5 one-hour self-paced modules, each one going through a different topic. We have an hour-long module on how AI works. We have an hour-long module on kind of using AI responsibly, thinking about ethical considerations when using AI. We have an hour-long module on teaching with AI. We talk about how to use ChatGPT to help support your role as a teacher or an educator or an admin. All of this is free and online. No prior experience in AI is assumed, no programming is required, and you can earn certificates of completion for this professional learning as well as for all of our self-paced online professional learning that you might be able to take to your district and hopefully get some professional development credits there. You can access the professional learning here. This is the direct link, so if you're not logged into code.org, it will ask you to sign in first or make an account, but once you do that, you'll see the whole professional learning outlined there. And the last thing I want to talk about is teachai.org. You can visit this website to see more AI education resources. So TeachAI is an initiative that guides education leaders and policymakers in transforming education by teaching about and with AI. It's has a steering committee, including code.org, ITSE, World Economic Forum, Khan Academy works with us, works on the TeachAI team. Doing a ton of different projects. They've developed an AI guidance for schools toolkit. They've developed foundational policy ideas for AI in education. They've led a learning series. They've developed guidance on the future of CS education in the age of AI. And currently they're working on AI literacy. So this is going to be super exciting when they release this. Great. I think it's June, maybe. I'm going to tentatively say June. They're going to release their full AI literacy standards. Really exciting, great guidance there for teachers. But we also have some guidance, including our school's toolkit, to think about kind of framing AI and how it fits in the education space, as well as some things that if you're an administrator or policymaker might be more aligned to the work you're doing. So I recommend that you go check that out at teachai.org. I think I have a few minutes for questions. I'm not sure if we're ending at 45 or the hour after, but I'm here for questions.
You're great on time, Micah, if you want to keep going.
Great. Awesome. Great. Yeah, I'm here for questions if you have them.
Okay, Micah, you okay? Can we wrap up or?
Yeah.
Okay,
All
great.
good.
Thank you so much for such a fun and informative session. We will follow up with the slides, recording, and resources shared. You've done such a great job of sharing them in the chat, but we will follow up with everybody on the call and for those who didn't make it with a recording of the session and all the resources. For more information on AI Literacy Day, visit ailiteracyday.org. Thank you. Big thank you to Micah. Thank you to all for joining us today and have a great National AI Literacy Day. Thanks all. Bye.
Everyone. Bye.